Hello and welcome. Today I want to talk about decoys and defense for your grids and ships. Especially decoys, there's a lot of confusion and outdated information. They used to be kind of magical, now they're not magical at all, and so I want to kind of explain that a bit. So to do that, let's first look at turrets. They have a targeting option for weapons, propulsion, and power systems, and then default is just whatever's closest of those types. And so that means that if I was to come over here, and let's say I was a turret attacking this little grid here, I would, if I was set to weapons or default, I would attack this turret. And then these decoys would have zero effect on which grid I targeted. They'd have no effect of which thing on the grid I would target because they are further back and inconsequential. So I would target this turret right here. Now, if I wanted to target, let's say something other than weapons or default, and target batteries, the battery is way back there. So it's further back than these decoys. I would end up attacking these decoys first. So decoys are just a block that's marked as all three types. It's a weapon, a thruster, and a battery as far as turrets are concerned. So, for example, if I actually wanted to protect my turret, then these decoys are far enough forward that they would distract. And generally my turrets would attack these decoys first. Now, they don't necessarily need to be this far forward, but the further forward you can have it, the better. If they are closer, then it could be random what turrets attack. So keep that in mind. Also, in my testing, I did realize that decoys are more effective if there is two of them. At least two. You can have more than two, but having two functional blocks together is more likely to draw fire. Just a strange bug in Space Engineers. So when you place decoys, place two. And then as far as why you would use them, it's because a turret is 225 PCU. And a decoy block is only 5 PCU. It also, so it lets you kind of focus fire, and so you could armor up that area. You could focus your repairs on this area as well, which is nice. They also have a ability that they still distract when they are depowered. So as long as they're on, they don't need power to function, which is ironic. So they're very handy in drawing fire. They can be used depending on your designs. And so I'll show you what they might look like in practice, maybe on a planet encampment, for example. Definitely don't recommend trying to defend on a planet. It's very difficult. Any static grid is. But if you were to, this is a turret here and a cargo container. So I try to have a separate cargo container for my guns so that just in case they are disconnected from the main grid, that they will still function. And then a battery, the same sort of deal, helps prevent turning it off if it gets disconnected. And then this grid has a defensive block on it just in case to help with targeting. Not really needed with Gatlings, but I have it just the same. And then here, I've actually used heavy armor blocks to help protect this turret and the base of it there. And then I've placed decoy blocks out on each of these corners. And so if I was to come through with a turret, most likely from about this angle all the way to the other side, these decoys would distract my fire for my turrets. So this would make this encampment last way longer. Now, it's not going to cover if I was directly above or behind or these other angles, but from from this whole cone essentially up front, it would cover pretty well. And you can see I used some blast doors blocks. They're pretty good. They've got a lot of steel plates in them, no metal grids, and then I've used heavy armor as well to help defend those. So this actually works really well for static bases. The same concept works in mobile bases, but it's a matter of if you have pointy bits or things that stick out on your ship that you can use to draw fire. If not, then you're just drawing fire in the same general direction as your important bits. It's not always that helpful. So, and then here's another example of how this could be used with a custom turret. So, again, I don't recommend custom turrets, but if you were to use them, you may want to consider adding decoys to the top of them. So in this case, I have an artillery cannon here, and when I tested, its kind of central targeting area was way back here on it. So that means I didn't need to go very far forward to have distracting decoys. And we can see that in action here. So if you ever do test decoys or things like this, I have a timer that turns this turret on and off, and that way it each time it turns on, it does a new targeting essentially. And so it's actually super effective on this. Every single shot is going into one of these decoys essentially, and that would keep fire far away from the important bits. So definitely something to keep in mind there. And then finally I'll show you a ship that I have used. This was a small grid test that I was working on. But this actually has pointy bits that come out with decoys on all these different corners here. And it does actually help the ship last a lot longer. Now it's small grid, so it's still not that impressive, but it does last much longer than it would without these decoys. So something to keep in mind. There is extra weight for all this. The longer a ship is, the more gyros you need as well. You know, this ship is not maneuverable, but this is an idea of ways that you could kind of in an unusual manner use decoys to keep fire away. Now hopefully you could kind of integrate some of this in the design of a ship and it wouldn't be so ugly. And then just some other things I've done for the ship to help defend it is first of all redundancy. So I've got batteries in all four corners. I've got 6 different flat atmos instead of having just 2 large, right? Those are pretty nice for that. And then in each direction I have 2 as well. I have 2 large containers here. This is one challenge with small grid is that the only container worth using, not large, medium. The only container worth using is a medium container really, or large. The small is worthless. So I have those defended in the back with heavy armor there. I have heavy armor guarding my cockpit. I have heavy armor all along the conveyors to protect those. I have conveyance going in multiple directions to the same set of containers. So there's at least double conveyance on everything. And then I've filled with line armor as well. Doesn't do a lot, especially on small grid. But really having redundancy and then armoring up your most expensive parts can help quite a bit, and it keeps you from having to make a completely heavy armor grid ship that's just won't move at all. So just an idea, some concepts. Hopefully it helps you in your builds. So if you have any questions, let me know, and I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next video.